With the 10th pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, Kansas City Chiefs select Patrick Mahomes.
2018 Most Valuable Player is
Patrick Mahomes!
Kansas City Chiefs are champions of Super Bowl 54.
One play at a time, do something special. Get it.
Patrick LeVon Mahomes II. Born on September 17, 1995 in Tyler, Texas. His parents are Patrick LeVon Mahomes Sr. and Randy Martin. His father was a pitcher who played Major League Baseball for 11 years. His mother, although it is not clear what her career is currently working as an event planner in Tyler, Texas. Mahomes grew up playing all sports, but his first sport was baseball, thanks to his dad who played in the Major League. Now, even though Patrick Mahomes did excel in baseball, this is a football documentary, so we're just going to focus on the football aspect. Patrick Mahomes attended White House High School in White House, Texas. He played football, baseball, and basketball. But like I said, we're going to focus on the football aspect. Mahomes' freshman year in high school, he spent his time as the quarterback on the freshman team, which I don't really have any stats to back up. His sophomore year, he was the backup quarterback on varsity and was the starting safety. His junior year, he was named starting quarterback, in which he threw for 3,800 passing yards, 46 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. He started to get some college recognition, but no offers yet. Moving on to his senior year, he ended up throwing 4,600 passing yards, 50 touchdowns, and only 6 interceptions, plus an additional 940 rushing yards to add on to 15 rushing touchdowns. So his senior year, he accounted for a total of 65 touchdowns to only 6 interceptions. Mahomes finished his high school varsity career only playing 2 seasons with 8,400 passing yards, 117 total touchdowns, and only 15 interceptions. Now, those numbers sound great, but at the end of his senior year, he only had 3 scholarship offers, believe it or not. Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, and Rice University. And eventually, he committed to Texas Tech. Now, Mahomes was also drafted into the MLB by the Detroit Tigers in the 2014 MLB draft, but did not sign his contract and focused more on football. In Mahomes' freshman year at Texas Tech, he actually saw more action than you would think. He was thrown in a couple of times when Texas Tech was down horrendous. But due to starter Davis Webb getting injured, Mahomes would start the last 4 games of the season, putting up a 1-3 record. Mahomes also threw for a Big 12 freshman record, 598 yards with 6 touchdowns and 1 interception against Baylor, and almost led an incredible comeback. Mahomes would finish the season with 1,500 passing yards, 16 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. Now moving on to his sophomore season. Mahomes had competed against Davis Webb in the offseason and was named the starting quarterback by the start of the season. Least to say, Patrick Mahomes had to have a good season to keep that starting role. And well, he did. This was also his chance to learn, playing against college defenses, getting that experience on the field and off the field in the locker room. This was his chance to be a leader, to step up, and to prove that he deserves to be a starting quarterback. And of course, Mahomes had a very successful season as his first year as a starter, including plays like this. The only flaw was his defense gave up an average of 43.6 points per game, and that was their biggest flaw. However, Mahomes would lead his team to a 7-5 record with a total of 4,600 passing yards, 36 touchdowns to 15 interceptions, along with 10 rushing touchdowns. Mahomes would also finish number 1 in total offense in the FBS with 5,109 yards. So overall, Mahomes had a pretty good season as his first year as a starter. However, Mahomes was just your average college quarterback. He didn't put up insane numbers. He was just a regular college quarterback. Now, onto his junior season. Now, most traditional college quarterbacks start to break out around their junior year. And, well, this was Mahomes' breakout season if he wanted to, and he did exactly that. I mean, he set numerous records that are on screen right now that I really won't get into. But as we know, there was the infamous college quarterback duel between Patrick Mahomes and Baker Mayfield where they broke the NCAA record for combined offensive yards with 1,700 yards. I mean, just think about that. Each team put up roughly 750 to around 800 yards a game. I mean, just let that sink in. I mean, in the NFL, we don't even get that. Each team putting up that many yards, Just get this. Patrick Mahomes threw for 734 yards in that game alone. Mahomes finished 52 of 88 pass attempts, 5 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns, and Baker also threw for 545 yards with 7 touchdowns. And Texas Tech eventually lost the game 59-66, but I mean, what an absolute Hall of Fame type of game. Patrick Mahomes ended up throwing for 5,000 passing yards this season, 41 touchdowns, 10 interceptions to add on 12 rushing touchdowns. Now, following the last game of the season, Mahomes would eventually declare for the NFL draft, foregoing his senior season. Now, honestly, going back and doing this documentary, I'm a little bit surprised that he did forego his senior season. I would have liked to see him play another year, but I think it worked out for the best. Leading up to the NFL draft, Mahomes didn't have much hype. All of the talk was around Mitchell Trubisky, and he suddenly arose as a top quarterback in this class for absolutely no reason. And also, Deshaun Watson had just won the national championship and showed that he's clearly the best quarterback in this draft. So where does this leave Mahomes? Well, first let's rewind and take a look at the team that would eventually draft Mahomes. The Chiefs were just the 2 seed, going 12-4 in the regular season. And we're coming off a divisional loss to the Steelers. Alex Smith had 2 years left on his contract. However, Smith was your slightly above average quarterback. He was a good dual threat quarterback. Now, following the playoff loss to the Steelers, the Chiefs didn't need a quarterback. Most analysts were talking about how they needed more weapons for Alex Smith or better protection. However, as the draft got closer and closer, Mahomes started to arise as being selected in the first round. Now, the Chiefs have actually done their homework on Patrick Mahomes and have had an eye on him since he was a freshman at Texas Tech. Chiefs head coach Andy Reid was told by Brett Veach, who was the current GM but was a scout for the Chiefs at the time, said this about Patrick Mahomes.
So it was basically Brett Veach, you were saying, as he was going through his career at Texas Tech, saying, take a look at this guy, and years before the draft is when he was beginning to maybe be on your radar.
Yeah, he was down on the field before one of the games scouting him, and Texas Tech, and he goes, you're not going to believe this quarterback. I mean, this guy's unbelievable. He's like the best I've ever seen. And so, you know, when somebody tells you that has the experience Brett has, you go, you know, you better look at him.
Like the best I've ever seen. I don't know about you guys, but if somebody tells me that, I'm going to tell them they're full of shit. So, I mean, I guess they really did see something in Patrick Mahomes, and, you know, it's turned out for the best so far. Then draft night finally rolls around, and this is what happens.
The Kansas City Chiefs no longer have a first-round pick in next year's draft. Wow. They just traded it along with the 91st overall pick, and this may be the time Deshaun Watson comes out of the green room.
With the 10th pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Kansas City Chiefs select Patrick Mahomes, the second quarterback.
And everyone was shocked that they took Mahomes over Deshaun Watson. But let's move on to his rookie season in the NFL. Mahomes would spend his entire rookie season on the bench, even though the Chiefs went out of their way to trade up and draft him. However, the Chiefs were 9-6 and had already clinched a wildcard spot, so they rested Alex Smith and gave Patrick Mahomes a start. I actually remember watching this game and I said, oh, it's this Mahomes kid. He's only playing because the Chiefs already clinched his playoff spot. And he actually played halfway decent. Mahomes would lead a game-winning drive with 2 minutes and 45 seconds left in the fourth quarter. He would lead an 11-play, 63-yard drive to put the Chiefs in field goal range and to seal the game. He also made this throw off of his back foot during the drive.
Mahomes trying to get him closer, heading the wrong way, and still has the...
So in Mahomes' first start, he would play somewhat decent, but he would leave that game-winning drive, and little did we know we would see more of that in the future. The Chiefs would then face the Tennessee Titans in the wildcard round, and they would blow a 21-3 point lead against Marcus Mariota and his infamous self-passing touchdown.
Mariota to the line of scrimmage, maybe across the line. It deflects back to him for a touchdown.
Now, at this point, I would call Alex Smith a not the problem quarterback. And what I mean by this is he's not your problem on offense, but he's also not your solution. Some more examples of quarterbacks like this would be Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz, Kirk Cousins. You know, they're not your problem, but they're just not your long-term solution. In Alex Smith's 5 seasons in Kansas City, he would lead the Chiefs to the playoffs 5 times, and he had a record of 1-4, but he couldn't lead them past the divisional round. So, like a bunch of teams have done in the past that have young quarterbacks, they traded away Alex Smith and inserted Mahomes into the starting role. And as we know, his first season was one to remember.
Spencer Ware in the backfield. Pressure now on Mahomes. He's in trouble. Now gets it away. Are you kidding me? This is a man on the drive. Here comes Von Miller. Oh, How did he pull that off? Lines it up wide open as hell. How quick was that?
Still to get it past the 40 to 45-yard line. Connects the magic with the quarterback. Just going around dancing and then throws it like almost a no-look. Oh my gosh, how do you not like watching this play?
You set it down, stepping away from the pressure. Again, zings it, sidearm. Where? Racing after it. Mahomes in trouble, flings it across his body, and it's caught by Hill. Hill has it. He came back.
2018 Most Valuable Player in
Patrick Mahomes!
So I guess you could say Mahomes' first season in the NFL as a starter was pretty good. He threw for 50 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 5,000 yards, and led the Chiefs to a 12-4 record, while also winning the league MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, first team All-Pro, and was voted a Pro Bowler. Mahomes would earn the Chiefs a first-round bye and then would play the Indianapolis Colts in the divisional round. They would eventually get a convincing win, 31-13, and would move on to play the New England Patriots and Tom Brady in the AFC Championship game. The game would start off slow for both teams, but the Patriots would go up 14-0 heading into halftime. Then in the second half, it started to turn into a shootout. It was going back and forth, Chiefs, Patriots, but then the Chiefs ended up going on a roll and kicking a game-winning field goal to tie it up and to head to overtime. Then a coin toss would eventually decide the rest of the game. Tom Brady would get the ball and they would drive down the field and win it. And that would be the end of Patrick Mahomes' first full season as a starter in the NFL, and it was absolutely exceptional. He would win the MVP, all these awards, set a couple records, and lead his team to the AFC Championship game. I mean, I think that's a pretty good season. Now, let's move on to his 2019-2020 season. Entering the 2019 season, Mahomes did come in the season with a lot of hype just because of the season they just had. Him winning the MVP, going to the AFC Championship game, and granted, it was only his first year as a full starter in the NFL. The Chiefs would start the season 4-2 before Mahomes would dislocate his knee on a Thursday night game against Denver. The Chiefs would eventually win the game and improve to 5-2, but it wouldn't matter. Mahomes was only out for 2 games and the Chiefs went 1-1. Once Mahomes returned, the Chiefs would go 6-1 and finish 12-4 on the season. Chiefs would then face Deshaun Watson and the Texans in the divisional round, where they would find themselves down 24-0 within the second quarter. I mean, the Chiefs couldn't catch a pass, they couldn't get anything going offensively, their defense was letting up, their special teams were letting up. They just had no momentum whatsoever. And Patrick Mahomes would lead a comeback, putting up 51 unanswered points and allowing the Texans to score only 7 points and the rest of the game. Now, I remember watching this game, and when I saw it was 24-0, I was in shock, and I knew that the Chiefs had no chance of coming back, but I just left the game up on my phone because I was doing some work. Before I knew it, the score was 28-24 at halftime, and the Chiefs were up. This is arguably one of Mahomes' greatest comebacks. The Chiefs go on to win the game 51-53 and end up facing the Titans in the AFC Championship game. Now, this was a good game, but ultimately, the Chiefs would end up winning and would advance to the Super Bowl, where they would face the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers were hot. They just came off a very convincing win against the Aaron Rodgers-led Green Bay Packers, and this was going to be a great matchup. Jimmy G finally stayed healthy for a season, the 49ers had a great run game, Deebo Samuel was rising as a star, and they had a great young defensive core. And against the rising big three, Mahomes, Hill, and Kelsey. Now let's move on to the Super Bowl. The first half had a lot of action, but at halftime, the score was only 10-10. The Chiefs just couldn't get anything going in the third quarter, and Mahomes ended up turning the ball over. The Chiefs would find themselves in a hole down 20-10 heading into the fourth quarter after Mahomes threw his second interception. The Chiefs would then get the ball back with 8 minutes remaining, down 10 in the fourth quarter. And I'll just let the rest of the game play out.
Launches down the middle, Hill, open, caught. 20-yard penalty, a first down, first and goal, pass, open, touchdown, Kelsey, Chiefs are back in it. Third down, Garoppolo throws, not there, incomplete. He's working against Richard Sherman. Mahomes throws, pass, caught, Williams, touchdown. Garoppolo airs it out, Sanders downfield is overthrown. Play clock is, they're gonna let the play go. It's not going to matter as Garoppolo now has it knocked incomplete. Down, obviously now 2nd and 6. Williams makes a cut and will roll into the end zone for the touchdown.
Only his second year as being a starter in the NFL, I would say that's pretty impressive. Then, shortly after, he would get an absolute bag of a contract.
Kevin just hung up the phone and got the actual contract. It is a 10-year deal, a 10-year extension worth $450 million in the extension.
Now, moving on to the next season, coming into the 2020-2021 NFL season, the Chiefs were expected to repeat. The Chiefs would go 14-2 in the regular season and face the Browns in the divisional round, where Patrick Mahomes would suffer a concussion in the third quarter. And Chad Henne would come in and give the fans and Tony Romo an absolute show and showed up late in the game, where anything is possible, baby.
But you're trying to get this first down, Jim.
Here's Henne in trouble. Trying to run for it. Running. He's going to dive for it. And the mark is going to be close.
You walk up there and say, no play, everybody. Don't jump. There's no play. Just look at the body language.
Oh, there is a play. Henne rolling out. Throws it. Hill. And the Chiefs are heading to the AFC Championship game.
And just like that, the Chiefs are headed to their third straight AFC Championship game where they would host the Buffalo Bills. The Bills would get off to a hot start, going up 9-0 early, but then the Chiefs took over, and for the most part, this game was a blowout. Josh Allen was running for his life most of the game and didn't have much help from his defense either, and the Bills would score 9 points in garbage time when the game was already over, but the Chiefs went on to win 38-24 to advance to their second straight Super Bowl, where they would face none other than Tom Brady. Coming into the Super Bowl, there was a ton of hype, and a lot of hype around Brady versus Mahomes. Brady being the GOAT, and Mahomes is already being talked about as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. I mean, granted, his talent is good, but this matchup had a different kind of talk. ESPN also had first take debate on who was the GOAT and who would you rather have with the game on the line.
If the question is football, the answer is Patrick Mahomes. I trust him more with the game on the line, the game not in the line, in the first quarter, in the fourth quarter. I trust him the most because he's the best.
Just one clutch situation. For example, a Super Bowl's on the line. Last 5 minutes, it's nip and tuck. I'm going to bet against Brady? I don't think so.
I mean, I don't really agree with Stephen A that much, but I'm going to have to agree with him. Also, this was Brady's first year in Tampa after he left New England. So if he won this Super Bowl with a new team in his first year, there is no way he could get dethroned as the GOAT ever. However, this game was just not it. I've never seen someone run for their life the entire game like Mahomes did. The offensive line was getting destroyed by the Bucs front four, and he just had no time to throw the ball. Mahomes scrambled for a total of 468 yards in that game. However, leading up to the Super Bowl, the Chiefs lost both of their starting tackles. They then took their backup right tackle and moved him to left tackle. Then they moved their right guard to right tackle. Then they took their backup guard and started him at right guard. The center was the only offensive lineman at his usual spot, and this explains why Mahomes was running for his life. I remember watching this game and thinking, why aren't the Chiefs adjusting to the rush and their lack of protection? The Chiefs used a 5-man protection on 48 of 52 dropbacks. Without getting too technical, I don't understand why the Chiefs didn't bring in an extra tight end to help out with the blocking, or a running back as a blocker, or even getting Mahomes out of the pocket in a bootleg to get into the open field. Anyways, the Chiefs would lose this game 31-9 as Tom Brady secured his 7th Super Bowl ring. Going into the start of the 2021 season, the Chiefs had their brakes pumped by a lot of the media following their Super Bowl loss. And all of the GOAT talk regarding Patrick Mahomes was thrown out of the window.
But the issue is the GOAT. All of that stuff is over. It's over.
The Chiefs were butchered about how their offensive line needed improvement, including their defense as well. So the Chiefs went out and they signed 4 offensive linemen and 3 defensive players in the offseason. The Chiefs would finish the first 17-game NFL season with a 12-5 record as they clinched the 2 seed. The Chiefs would then host the Pittsburgh Steelers in Ben Roethlisberger's last career NFL game and would absolutely blow them out, showing no mercy for his retirement. The Chiefs would then play the Bills in the divisional round in probably the craziest NFL game I've ever seen in my life. Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen put on an absolute show. They both put up 400 yards of offense with 4 touchdowns as the fourth quarter was an absolute show, and it was just back and forth. I'll just let it play out for you.
Allen fires it into wide open! Remarkable! Allen to try to make it a 3-point lead. Circling around at the 18. Now looks. Flings it back in the end zone. There's Diggs! Down the middle. It's Hill in the open. Cuts it upfield. He might be gone! He is! Kansas City takes the lead with a minute to go. Down the middle to the end zone, and there it is!
Touchdown number 4 on the night for Davis.
Can't believe that defense got beaten up like that. This go. Here's Hill. They're going to have a chance. Hicks. Got to throw it right away, right now to someone in the middle. Down the middle. Oh my goodness! It's going to be a 48-yard attempt. Hundreds of thousands around the planet. The kick is good. It's going to overtime.
Then, ultimately, a coin toss would decide the game, and Josh Allen and the Bills would never get the ball back, and the Chiefs would drive down and end the game.
Looking to the end zone for the win. He caught it.
Once again, Mahomes shows how clutch he is, and that 13 seconds is too much time on the clock for him. And after this game, the hype was building, because if Mahomes makes it to his 3rd straight Super Bowl, there's going to be a ton more hype. But anyways, the Chiefs would be moving on to the AFC Championship game for the 4th straight season as they faced Joe Burrow and the Bengals. The Chiefs were dominant in the first half, going up 21-3 as the Chiefs normally do, and they had a chance to go up 24-10 at the end of the half, but instead they went for it on 4th down, and it came back to bite them in the butt. In the 3rd quarter, the Chiefs would fail to even get past midfield once and would turn the ball over as Joe Burrow led his team back to tie the game 21 apiece. The Bengals would get a field goal with 5 minutes remaining, and Patrick Mahomes would drive them all the way to the end zone but would choke. He was making rookie mistakes that he knows he shouldn't be making. Time and time again, he should have thrown the ball away and then eventually fumbled and took a sack that would make the field goal 44 yards instead of about 32 yards, and luckily Butker would hit it to send the game to overtime. Then on the first drive in overtime, Mahomes would throw another interception, which you can debate in the comments on if it was his fault or not. I think it was a good throw. It was just a better play by the defense, and Tyreek Hill should have gone and gotten the ball instead of waiting for it, but in hindsight, he didn't. Then the Bengals would drive down and kick the game-winning field goal, ending the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes' season. But let's review really quickly. In only 4 years as a starter in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes has won a Super Bowl MVP, League MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, First Team All-Pro, Second Team All-Pro, tied for the 2nd most passing touchdowns in a single season, gone to 4 straight AFC Championship games, 2 Super Bowl appearances, thrown for 19,000 yards, 151 touchdowns to only 37 interceptions, and has the best passer rating in NFL history with a 105.8. The only other player to have this much success in their first 4 seasons as being a starter in the NFL is this guy named Tom Brady, who won 3 Super Bowls in his first 4 seasons as a starter. So you could say Patrick Mahomes is on the right track, but with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed and have a blessed day.